Hey everyone, this is the Day Ghost. I'm Austin. Today we're going to be talking about From Russia with Love. So I know I said that the series would be daily. Unfortunately, I had some stuff that came up, so this one's going to be a little late, unfortunately. But hopefully that's kind of it, and everything else moves normally after this. But we'll see. There might be some delays moving forward. But anyways, let's get right into this movie. So, From Russia with Love is the second James Bond film, also directed, just like the first one, by Terrence Young. And so just right away, we start off gun barrel, just like you expect, and we get our very first pre-title sequence in the series. James Bond, he's kind of sneaking around, and then out of nowhere, Red Grant, who ends up being one of the main villains of the movie, sneaks up behind him and kills James Bond, which is, yes, very shocking. We open the movie killing James Bond. Kill James Bond for the very first time. That's a running thing, kind of, in the Sean Connery era, is killing James Bond in the pre-titles. It happens in at least 2 or 3 of them, just off the top of my head. But anyways, so we kill James Bond, and then of course it turns out it's just a guy in a mask. And we get straight into the intro, which is closer to what you expect. You get kind of the credits being printed onto, these kind of half-naked women dancing. But we're not really playing the theme song yet. The theme song, this movie, unlike Doctor No, does have a theme song, but they don't play it in that intro like what you normally expect. In fact, while we play it like throughout the movie, the big point where we blast it is at the end, which is just kind of interesting. So this film is unlike a lot of Bond films, because a lot of Bond films are very much just action focused, where we go from action scene to action scene to action scene. This one's a lot more just more of a spy movie, really. Here we get different characters trying to get this decoder device, and you kind of just, different characters want different things, and they're kind of, some people are working together, some people aren't, and there's a lot of backstabbing and so forth. And once again, Sean Connery as Bond, I think, is absolutely perfect, even more so, honestly, than in Doctor No. He fits this role so perfectly, and he really just is Bond. We also get one of his new allies in this movie, which is Karen Bay, who is a lot better, I think, than Quarrel and Felix Leiter in the last movie. I think this guy, the actor who plays him, is very charismatic, and he also just kind of holds the movie a little bit more so than they did. Like, there's more of a character there. He's more of a likable person that you really enjoy. He's honestly probably one of the best Bond allies, really. And speaking of Bond allies, we also get Desmond Llewellyn's first appearance in the Bond series. And here, he's not Q yet, he's still Major Boothroyd, who appeared in the last movie, but it was not Desmond Llewellyn. And funny enough, they brought in Desmond Llewellyn for this movie just because that first actor couldn't make it for this film. And he was busy at the time. And he's not really the character you expect yet. That'll happen next film. But I think he's still enjoyable for what he is. He's just kind of there for exposition in this movie, though, where he gives Bond this case that he uses in the film that's kind of his first gadget in the series, which he then uses on Red Grant, who's the guy that killed the not Bond at the beginning. Red Grant also is played by Robert Shaw, who was Quint in Jaws, and he's just great in this film. He's probably one of the best Bond muscle villains, just in the sense that most of them are it's a typical formula, right? You get, Odd Job or Jaws, let's say, where we just got these kind of hulking beasts of men that are just way bigger than Bond, and he can't fight them physically. Normally they're so much bigger than he is. But Red Grant's just kind of another spy, and he's very much just the evil Russian Bond, kind of throughout this movie, following James Bond and going from, because Bond goes from place to place. Like, he ends up in a gypsy camp for a while, which has a very big battle in it, which is way bigger than anything that they attempted to do last film. But anyways, Red Grant, he follows Bond around, and he's basically making sure that Bond stays alive so that they can have their big confrontation when the time comes, which ends up being on the Oriental Express. Of course, you gotta have a murder on the Oriental Express. And Bond and Red Grant have a really great train fight, which is honestly one of the best fights in the series. Just every single thing about it is just great. And it ends with Bond using his case to get the drop on Red Grant, and then Bond eventually uses Red Grant's weapon, which is like a garrote. Is that what the word is? Like what like a hitman uses to strangle somebody. And he uses that against Red Grant to kill him, which then goes into when they completely just rip off North by Northwest with this helicopter scene. The main villain of this film is Rosa Klebb, who is one of the best villains in the series, really. She's very manipulative. She brings in this woman and tricks her into thinking that she's working for Russia when really she's working for Spectre, the big villain organization. And she brings the Bond girl of this movie, Tatiana, who honestly I think is just kind of okay. She's just kind of there. There's not really much to her, honestly. She's very much just, oh, well, she loves James Bond, and now she's in this adventure with him. But there's also some kind of lesbian hints with Rosa Klebb in the way she kind of... It's a very kind of predatory relationship, and there's just looks and glances. It's never outright stated. But there's definitely some hints there of that. Rosa Klebb also gets the first kind of villain entrance ending where Bond and the Bond girl are together, and then one of the villains of the movie comes in for like that one last chance to kill Bond. And she's got this shoe that's got like a knife that's poisoned on it, and they have one final confrontation, and Tatiana has to make a choice between whether to shoot Bond or Rosa Klebb, which is probably the most she does in the entire movie. But so that part's pretty good. But this movie also gives us our first glimpse at Blofeld, and honestly, it's my favorite Blofeld over the other actors we get in the series, which is it's just a voice. You never actually see Blofeld, but the voice really works as this very, kind of shady, evil leader of this secretive organization that's, doing crime under or behind the scenes. In terms of action, I think this film, kind of does what the first film does, or did, just a lot better and bigger, where we get more kind of, shoot-offs. Like I said, there's this big battle at the gypsy camp, which gets pretty huge, honestly, for the time. We have all these kind of extras being shot and just different things on fire in the background. You also get some vehicle chases, of course, which are all handled a lot better than that car chase in the first movie with like the really terrible rear projection. Boat chase scene where Bond is being chased by some Spectre agents in boats, and we're actually doing stuff with boats as opposed to just rear projecting the entire thing, and it's all pretty good. I enjoyed the action quite a bit in this movie, especially like I said, the train scene is very much the highlight of that. So yeah, that's From Russia with Love. I think it's very much one of the best Bond films, honestly. and I'm really excited to talk about the next one, which I think is just keeping that train moving with Goldfinger. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow. Let me know what you think about From Russia with Love in the comments. I'm interested to see what other people think of this movie.